Guys, working. Let me know if you can hear me, if everything's good. Welcome to another Monday night. The RC Air Marshal episode number 57. What's up, fellas? So, been a little while since we've been on this side of the camera. I've been doing the last few shows on the other side because, frankly, my little workbench here was disaster area. But got some stuff to show off. Pickle Pilot, Dennis Farley, Ken Sprouse, Jeff in Lower Alabama, Margaret in. It's good to see all you guys tonight. Craig Beaving, Victor Shamulus, how are you doing, sir? Glad to hear y'all are doing well. That is good news. Smith, Mr. Randy, Jet Tech Don Adkins, Mr. George Watts, how are you doing tonight? NRC Pilot, hello, sir. Got quite a few people. Right, that is good. Michael Reitza, ACB, hello, hello. It's good to see everybody tonight. This is not an ASD, so this is my latest salvage project. You guys remember, a little while back we did a salvage project. It given beat up V900, stored it, and made it flying. Hey, it's Amy Marshall. I know her. Christy, Ron for the Hills Mining, RC Roland, Steve George. Hello, everybody. So, back in the day, we got the V900. It was all wrecked and crumbled up and just in bad shape, and got it flying again. And then I wrecked it again down in Florida. But while I was down in Florida, Barry Boozers, Mr. Wesley, gave me basically a bag of parts. Said, here's a bag of parts. And, if you want, you can turn this into a Freewing 90mm F-16. So, yeah, Dennis, you were down there when I got the big bag of parts and a busted up fuselage. And I ripped all the stuff out of that old fuselage and put all of it into a new one. So I got a new fuselage, new canopy, and a bunch of miscellaneous other parts from Motion RC. And for those of you guys that pay attention to the Motion RC Facebook group, got a big old box of parts in yesterday. And what I'll tell you is going from a bag of parts, basically like the landing gear, all the servos, wings, the horizontal stabs, vertical stab. But what we see here was quite the effort. Quite the effort to get this thing into the that you see. Still not able to be flown yet. There's still a couple of miscellaneous things. You know how it is. Anytime you go to get parts, especially after a bad crash, you always get what you think you need. But this, basically coming from a bag of parts, to what you see here, it was kind of like a best guesstimate. I think I need, it looks like I'm gonna need, other parts here and there, and I didn't know what I didn't have yet. And I try to put it all. Yes, Ken Sprouse, in the bag of stuff that I got yesterday. Yeah, it may be buffering. Sorry. There's not much I can do about it if the internet's doing weird things. Hold on. Let me go take a look on the other side. If it's buffering, it's probably not too awful. It looks like we got a good connection. And, you know, Amy watches movies, man. And all the movies come from the webnet. Sorry, guys. Sorry. So when I looked at the other side, you know, at the computer screen where like what the stats are for everything looks pretty good. So um, all I can do is tell you I'm sorry. I mean, it looks like we're not doing too bad on the other side. EQ, this is a 90 millimeter. See if I can. A little, be able to see. Ken, that would help. Yeah, so I mean, from what I'm seeing, it looks like we've got a good connection. Yeah, I mean, everything I'm seeing says we've got good connectivity. So I'm not sure what the buffering is about. Yeah, maybe try hitting refresh. So yeah, I got a new fuselage, which comes with all of the interior wiring and everything. I was gonna use the FMS. Uh, I was gonna use the FMS Platinum 90 millimeter F unit but unfortunately, that where the EDF sits in this particular model, there's like a brace that goes across, and I would have to make a lot of modifications to the model to get it to work, and it's just not worth the time. So I went ahead and ordered high performance F unit, Freewing, and I had to get it from RC because they're not available in the Motion RC. They're not available from the Motion RC website. They're available, they're just not in stock. I ordered one from RC Cast, and I also got the ventral fins. They had the ventral fins at RC Cast. Can't buy those from Motion RC, which I thought was a little weird. But yeah, what all have I done? So there were some of the parts that I went ahead and got, not knowing if I'd need them or not. So I got a set of the bars for the horizontal stabilizers for the elevators, and it's a good thing I did because the ones that with the bag of parts were bent. So apparently, the whoever crashed this did a pretty bang up job and busted it up pretty bad. Yeah, Craig, guys, I don't know what the buffering's all about, man. I wish I could tell you because everything that I'm seeing from my end would suggest that this thing is streaming at very good bit rate cutouts. So, I don't know what to tell you. Other than I'm sorry, I wish it was better. Is it just the audio, or is it the audio and the video? Could be, could be the microphone. I haven't been on this side of the camera for a while. Um, Give me just a second. I'm gonna mess with one setting real quick. Right back. Actually, I may be able to do that from here. But if I break it, sorry. Alright, how is it now? That may have taken care of the audio weirdness with it cutting out. I had a noise gate turned on. Whenever I'm sitting on the other side, where I'm sitting in front of the computer, where you can see like the doors behind me, I use a noise gate because the microphone's like right in my face, and when I'm on this side, the microphone is like 5 feet away. So hopefully it's better. All right. So, like I was saying, I mean, I still don't have an EDF unit in here. I need to get some servo extensions, some small, like 6-inch servo extensions, because there's a couple of the wires that run up to the front that I need to extend a little bit for them for everything to fit into the multifunction board and the way that I'm going to run the receiver. So just to give you guys an idea of what my thoughts are with this airplane, because ultimately the airplane for the most part was free. The amount of money that I'm going to put into it is, yeah, that is unfortunate, right? So the amount of money that I'm going to put into the plane is about, it's less than half of what the new airplane costs. So, you know, between the new EDF, which was the new EDF unit, and the new fuselage were the bulk of the expense. All the other stuff is just small parts here and there. The bag did not include the servo horns for the gear doors. So the sequence gear doors are not connected right now. The gear all work. The retracts all work. The front retract, 2 of the servo wires were broken off of the circuit board, so I had to do some surgery on the front retract and soldered a new servo lead to the front retract, you know, to the pads on the circuit board for the front retract, and that is all good now, and everything is working the way I would expect it to. All the servos still work, all the control surfaces are working. So here's my plan with the bird. I still need to do the gear doors. I need to put the EDF in. I should get the EDF and the ventral fins around the same time from RC Castle. That could be a couple of weeks from now. And I'm going to be installing, in fact, it's already in there. I've got a Spectrum AR9350, which is an AS3X enabled 9-channel receiver. And my plan with that is to run everything independent. So I'm going to have the rudder, each elevator, each aileron, the nose wheel, the retracts, I'm going to have everything on separate channels. I think it's going to take 8 channels to do it, right? So I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 with the throttle. So I need 8 channels to be able to do all the stuff. Muskie Bob, how you doing? Welcome to the show. Thanks for stopping by, man. We are talking today about a new project that I'm working on. This is a Freewing F16C. This is a 90mm EDF jet that I have taken on as a repair and salvage project. I received it in a blown up, crashed state, and restoring it back to a flight-worthy condition. And if I can get everything back together the way if I can get everything back together the way I want it to be, I may do something really cool with this F16 the same way I did with the F18. What I want to do before I do any kind of crazy paint is I want to get comfortable with the airplane first. That was something that I never did with the F18. I never took it out and flew it and got comfortable with it before I put all those hours into the paint. So my job, or my goal is to get this thing back operational, take it out, fly the crap out of it, get very comfortable with the model, and then go to town with a custom paint job. And if you guys want to get a sneak preview of the paint job that I am looking to do, then what I would ask you to look for, if you want to Google it, I don't have it sitting here in front of me or I'd show you guys, take a look at the, actually I may be able to pull it up. Give me a second. Yes, Amy's watching movies. Amy's actually watching the Avengers right now, so I am not going to say anything. If she wants to watch the Avengers, I will let her watch the Avengers all day long. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not going to mess with it right now. So, what the paint scheme that I am probably going to do, if I do anything other than what it's sitting at today, if I fly it, it flies amazing, and I get super comfortable with it. I am looking at the 2020/21 F-16. It is the Viper demo team. Go check out the U.S. Air Force Viper Demo Squadron. Their 2021 scheme is awesome. It is kind of gray on the bottom, black on the top, and it is dressed up with like, like reptile scales, like a snake. It's got some very cool graphics along the vertical stabilizer and all along the wings and the top and the bottom of the airframe. It's awesome, but it will be a super challenge. It's another one of those where, just like the Splinter camo, it looks like it's something that would be like, that'll be nothing, that'll be easy. That paint job is going to be a pain in the butt. But it's one of those things where if I can pull it off, man, it's going to look sweet. Mason Jackson, good to see you, man. Yeah, the tough one indeed. So David Snyder has put a link up, and if I were to open that up, let's see yes, that is it. The Viper demo team. Now that is a F-16 from Digital Combat Simulator, but that is what the paint scheme looks like. And that's one of those things where it's like, man, if I can pull that off. Well, it's the same with the with the Splinter camo. So let me see if I can share this with you guys. So this should be Can you guys see that? Hopefully you can. I can't see the chat right now because I've got that going on, but this thing is awesome, man. You get like I guess I can blow this up a little bit. Like right there is like the eye of a snake. I mean, it's sweet. This thing looks awesome. So hopefully I can pull it off. We shall see. And hopefully you guys were actually able to hear me when I had it on the screen that was showing a picture of the airplane. You know, Pal Jerry, if I was a smart man, that's exactly what I would do is say, you know, call Callie and be like, please help me. Can you do like the lines? You know, because it'd be easy to do the black part and then have Callie do like an overlay that has the scale effect. That'd probably be the easiest way to go with that, is to just paint the whole thing black and then let her do her thing. So I may go that route. Yeah, sorry, Shadow Man. It happens every now and then. But I think that would be one of those paint schemes, you know, just like the F-18. You know, I've seen maybe 2 others that are done in this VFC-12 scheme, and none of them are done quite like this one. And I think if I could pull off that Viper Demo Team paint job, that'd just be another, you know, big knockout for, you know, for these planes. And I love doing, you know, the custom paint. So, you know, and it's another one of those kind of proud moments where I can take something that used to be a wrecked mess. So like I said earlier, for those of you guys that just got here, this airplane came into my possession crashed. Yeah, so this came into my possession crashed, and everything that you see here is the result of, you know, getting the parts and salvaging everything that I could, getting the airplane back together again and into a flyable airframe. I believe the airframe as it sits right now would fly great. I just haven't, I don't have a motor in there yet, and I still need to get the gear doors working right. But everything else is working fine. In fact, I do want to show you guys kind of what it looks like when you plug a battery in, because I do have all the lights and everything working, which does look nice.
Playing from damned 02.
That stupid thing. Don't listen to that lady. So I still got a lot of cable management and stuff like that I got to do inside here. It's not quite where I want it just yet because I just have a lot of work left. But that will all get done in due time. So there's no let's see. There we go. All right. So there's a couple of things that I'm a little disappointed about. And one of them is that there is no on the LED controller, there is no what is it? There's no solid LED, you know, so I can't have the navigation lights using the existing LED controller. I can't do the navigation lights as a solid light. You know, I would prefer for the navigation lights like up here and on the wings. I don't know if you guys can see, you know, that there's navigation lights blinking on the wingtips too. They flash all the time, which is kind of a pain in the butt. I would rather them just be solid. Up here we do have a beacon which this is a 1 second single flash beacon, and this is a 3-spot beacon on the tail. So there's LEDs all over the place, which is great, but they flash all the time, man, which I'm just not a fan of. They're not supposed to be that way. Yeah, and JT 200, I know they're not supposed to flash, but they do. What's up, Mr. Noons? So, I'm not sure what I'll do with that. I may take this control board that ships with it, I may take that out and just put a different gear sequencer and separate light or LED controller in it. I think with like the separate Freewing LED controller, I can have some of them that are on a 3-second timer, or like repeat 3 times, some that are repeat twice, some that are on all the time. The Dynamite controller, no way. Oh, what's up, Bledsoe? How you doing, sir? So, George, I'm going to be putting the Freewing High Performance 1900 kV in-runner 90mm EDF into the plane. I have... Hold on. Sorry, I'm like walking all over the place, Brad. So I have an FMS. This is a 1900 kV outrunner EDF, but the way that this is designed with the big cone on the back, even if I were to take the big cone off, the way that this is set up, it just won't fit. I can't, without making some major modifications to the way that the EDF mounts to the model, I'd have to do some really weird stuff. I'd have to take the nose, this adapter off, which means that I'd have to balance it and then like mark, my balance marks and get everything kind of marked up and perfect. Take the whole thing apart, fit the shroud into the model, and then piece it all back together, as a separate piece. And I'd have to be reaching into the back and doing all kinds of weird stuff to get it together, and it's just not worth the trouble. So what I am going to be doing is I'm just going to take this and put it into something else. Possibly it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to fit it into the older Freewing models, because the older Freewing EDF housings were kind of squared off, and the only thing that you can put in them is Freewing EDFs. I may, this is one of those things where I'll kind of have to poll the audience. Like, what is a good 90mm plane that I won't have to make any modifications to put an FMS EDF into it? Because that was one thing that I wasn't really looking forward to with this one, is having to kind of hone out the entire area where this goes, because the FMS fans are a little bit larger, a couple of millimeters larger, the shrouds are, than the Freewing stuff. So in order to fit this into this model, I was going to have to make a lot of modifications to the model anyway, in addition to having to reshape the phone. So outside of like an FMS Super Scorpion, are there any other big 90mm models that an FMS 1900 Outrunner would work good in? So yeah, I mean the Super Scorpion is the obvious answer because it's made by FMS, and I'm sure that this would go right up in there. Captain Photon, hello sir. Joe Valdez, good to see you tonight. Dave Martin Graff, hello. Yeah, you know, that was one of the things about that Arrows F-15 that I wasn't like. I like the looks of it. I'm kind of fine with it not having doors over the retracts. In fact, it's kind of expected. The MiG-29, it's kind of a halfway between a 70 and an 80 millimeter airframe. And most of your 70 millimeters aren't going to have retract doors. So I wasn't shocked to see that it didn't have retract doors, but I was a little surprised at the price. Excuse me. I was a little surprised with the price on the on that twin 64 F-15. I think they're asking like what, like 370, 380 for that thing. And man, there's a lot of planes out there that I would look at before that. If I'm gonna spend on the upwards of $400 for a plane. And look, I'm not talking bad. I think it's a great model. I'm just there are other things that I would look at. I don't think that it's necessarily a bad price. I think it's probably I think that it should have been priced more in line with what the MiG-29 cost is. And maybe I'm just looking at it all wrong. Maybe there's $50 of better stuff in there, but I think it's priced like 40 or $50 higher than the MiG-29. Huh. So I'd be if Freewing does another F-15, it's almost got to be a twin. And you know, now that they've got the big twin MiG-29, you know, to some degree, I want to think that, you know, like Alpha and the guys at Motion RC, they're no dummies. So they had to have been kind of experimenting with what the market will accept with things like the big A10, the big twin 80, the big twin 80 F14. I mean, those are a little long in the tooth now. The new twin 80 MiG-29. These have all kind of been like pushing the edge of what the consumer is willing to accept and still be able to sell them in large volume. You know, because as nice as like our HSD planes are and things like that, I don't think that the HSDs sell in the volume of, say, a Freewing MiG-29 at $650 or whatever the price is on that thing. So I think as they gauge what the market is willing to accept, they can in turn increase their risk. So I think that it would not be too far of a stretch to think that Freewing could do something like a big twin 80 F-15 and make it lighter. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that the MiG-29 is a light plane, but relatively speaking, for its size, it is a very light plane. I think if they can do an F-15 that flies light it's big, a big like twin 80 F-15 that flies on the lighter side the way the MiG-29 does, and sell it in that $600 to $700 price range, I think that that'd be pretty well accepted by the airplane buying masses. What do you guys think about that? I think that for the most part, you guys just talk to each other and you don't even listen to what I'm saying. Would you guys be in on something like a twin 80 F-15 that flies light like the MiG-29 in the $600 to $700 price range? You know, $650, $675. Well, not you, Dennis. I mean, obviously the people that don't like warbirds, or the people that don't like jets, well, Roland, I think we all do the same thing. You know, we sit in these rooms and we have this host who's just basically like chatting over a facilitated, you know, chat service for you guys. Like, we're opening up the chat room at 8 o'clock and there's going to be some butthead, you know, talking about airplanes in the background, but we're all just going to sit and type to each other. Who cares what that guy's saying? Yeah, you know, I think that as much as I love like the C model F-15s, I really think that a Strike Eagle would do really well also. Like the darker gray twin seat F-18 strike or F-15 Strike Eagles, I think could sell really well. Thanks, Ricky. I try to be engaged with the chat. So current wise, I want to say that my MiG-29 Arrows is running two 45 amp ESCs on 11 blade 64 millimeter EDFs. So if both of the ESCs are topped out, I mean, the most you're looking at is 90 amps. So again, just like the MiG-29, I have to speculate because I haven't flown one. You know, Ryan will fly one here soon, which, hi Ryan. Hello, sir. I have to assume just like the MiG-29, the F-15 is probably going to fly better with like a 3200 6S pack. While you can probably jam a 4000 in there, unless you're running the Spectrum 4000, which weighs much less than say an HRB. The 3200 I think is going to be the ideal weight to give you the power that you need while still keeping the model lighter, giving you the right CG, and you know, increasing your thrust to weight ratio. You're gonna have a better experience the lighter you can keep the plane. So Bledsoe, Amy is upstairs watching Avengers Endgame, which is awesome. So you're building the Freewing 90mm F-18. Where did your CG, yours, So I CG'd mine. I used the factory CG and I moved it back. The factory CG on the F-18 90mm is a little bit nose heavy, in my opinion. I shifted it from the factory CG back by like 10 to 15 millimeters, and that's where I liked it. What's up, Deuces? How you doing, man? So even with all that said, for David Martin Graff, I mean, a 3200, 4000, 5000, I mean, you're going to pull the same amount of current off of any of them, right? And when we're talking like a 50C 3200, I mean, you can still rip like 150 amps of current through a 50C 3200, more than 150 amps. So, I mean, that's fine. That's more than enough. So yeah, you know, 3200, smart pack, roaring top, whatever, with at least 50C. I mean, if you're going to run a 3200, you're going to want to run like a 50C pack. With a 4000, you could get away with a 30C. But that's still that's not enough headroom for me personally. I'd still want to run, you know, like a 50C 4000. So yeah, 3200 50C I think is probably the best thing to do there. Bourbon. So, BD Tennessee, I just got this F-16. In fact, I just got the, you know, the final touches that I'm able to do with it for now, done maybe an hour. I think I finished up at like 7 o'clock. And, you know, I went live at 8. So, as far as scale details go, I think that, I mean, the F-15 is awesome. Don't get me wrong. The F-15 is awesome. But I think that they got a few more details right with the F-16 than they did with the F-15. Now, both of them are heavy bastards, right? These are not light planes. They don't fly light. These are heavy. And you can feel the weight on them. I'm not 100% sure how this flies yet. I haven't been able to put it in the air yet. And to be honest with you, the F-15 hasn't gone in the air yet either, because I also need a new EDF unit for that one. But from just an appearance standpoint, the landing gear of this F-16, so not, and you guys have seen them, so like the 70mm F-16 from E-Flight, the 70mm F-16 from, did FMS do one? Freewing. I mean, they've got kind of like those straight strut landing gear that come out at like an angle and fold back up straight, and they're okay. The gear on this F-16 actuates and functions exactly like a real F-16. I mean, they went out of their way to do a badass landing gear on this F-16. It's very similar, in fact, maybe even a little better, just from a gear and articulation standpoint, than what you get on the HSD F-16, which is also amazing. So I think scale-wise, this is a more scale airplane. And I have yet to see, you know, from a performance perspective, which one performs better. I haven't been able to put the F-15 up either. So I'm not a huge fan of F-16s. I'll be, you know, perfectly honest with that. But I think that just from an appearance perspective and the scale detail of the landing gear, I think the F-16 is probably the better of the two models. You know, but again, the F-15 also has some scale details that are way better than the F-16, like the burner or the tail, the exhaust nozzle on the F-15 is awesome. Where the exhaust nozzle on here, you know, it's painted cool, but it's kind of silly. And then they put like that weird, they put like this weird, funky LED afterburner ring in there that's red. So, I mean, yeah, it's got like this afterburner ring, but it's totally the wrong color. I mean, it works, it functions, but it's just weird. I don't know if I like it. And yeah, Shadow, I mean, I do love F-18s, man. I don't think that's a big secret. Barry Campbell, this is the Freewing 90mm F-16. I can't remember if they call this their super scale. They might. You know, I know that the F-15 and the T-45 are called super scale models. I'm not sure if the F-16 was considered a super scale model, but they make this in both the gray version, and there's 3 different horizontal stabs available for it in the gray version, and you can also get this in a Thunderbird livery. Yes, there you go, Joe Pellegrino. This is the Freewing F-16C Super Scale High Performance 90mm EDF Jet. Plug and play. Now this one is a 0 performance F-16 right now because there is no EDF, and we talked about that earlier. I was going to put the FMS 1900 kV Outrunner. This is their Platinum 1900 kV Outrunner from FMS. I cannot get this to fit in the model without extensive reconstruction of the EDF housing. And not just honing it out to accept the larger, you know, diameter of the EDF shroud. You know, there's some veins on the back of the EDF housing where I'd have to, you know, modify the way that the block is that comes out so the EDF can fit up into the model. This just isn't going to work. I can't get it in there. It doesn't fit without making some pretty extensive modifications. So we're going to skip this. I've got the 90mm Freewing high performance 1900 kV in-runner fan coming. It's coming from RC Castle. It'll be here in a couple of weeks. Manny's RC everything. Welcome to the show. So, on the F-22, I went cheap. The F-22 there, F-22 has an Admiral RX600 SP receiver in it. Don't tell nobody. But it flies awesome. And listen, I know that a lot of people, I've had issues in the past with Admiral receivers, and every now and then I like to give them another try just to see, like, am I going to get good performance out of this one? And the one I have in the F-22 flies great. So that's what I'm using in there. Do I recommend them? I mean, still, my answer is probably not. I mean, when you're putting that much money up in the air, I'd go with a better receiver. I'd go with like an AR637T. You really can't go wrong with an AR637T. Those are awesome receivers from Spectrum. But in this one, I mean, the Admiral does well. And this is another one of those models where Pilot Ryan, who you guys all know, Pilot Ryan sent me the F22. And it had some fuselage damage, just like this F-16 did. So the F-16 was given to me by Mary Boozers, and this thing was in bad shape, and I had to, repair it and get it back to flying order. The F-22 was the same way. The wings, the horizontal stabilizers, and the vertical stabilizers were fine, but the front end of it was smashed up pretty good. So I had to do some repairs on the front of the fuselage. And, before I knew how it flew, I was willing to risk it on the Admiral receiver to see if it was going to fly at all and how I was going to like it and whatever. I mean, since then I put, a couple dozen flights on it with that Admiral receiver, and it's been great. So, I mean, why change it when it's working? So yes, the AR631 will work in an F-22. It would even work in the F-16. The reason I'm using a 9-channel receiver. So in this model, I may have mentioned it earlier, but for you guys that are just now showing up, I have a Spectrum AR9350 receiver in here, which is a 9-channel AS3X enabled receiver with satellites and all that fancy stuff. So the reason I did the 9350 is I'm going to be doing every control surface on its own channel because I wanted to have flaperons. So the ailerons are obviously, when it's in normal flight, it's going to be using ailerons and the full span elevators. When I put the flaps down, they're going to turn into flaperons, and I'm going to set up the flight modes on the flap switch, where when I put the flaps down, the elevators are going to turn into elevons. So I can still have my roll authority with the flaps down, and hopefully be able to still carry a little bit of roll authority with the tails, with doing elevons in the back. So that's kind of the plan, is to do flaperons, elevons, and I'm also going to put the tail wheel, or the nose wheel and the rudder on independent channels, so I can trim the nose wheel separate from the rudder. I've got 9 channels. I may as well exploit the fact that I've got 9 channels where I can trim the nose wheel separate, and even put it on its own, like put it on the knob, on the shoulder of the radio, where I can drive the model around without having to use the rudder input at all. Yeah, sorry about that, Roach Coach. Listen, some guys have really good luck with the Lemons and the Admirals. Some guys don't. there's a whole lot of folks at my field right now that are having just a fit of issues with the admirals and the lemons. And, you know, I'm not sure what it is. I'm not sure why. Well, I take that back. I think a lot of times, you know, and we're getting into a little bit of geek speak, which is why a lot of people watch the show anyway. A lot of people have problems with those receivers because they don't position the antennas properly. Meh. Dave Mark I sure hope so. So my understanding is the NX10 is, they're in the United States. They're not shipping yet. Yeah. I mean, I think that the, you know, the Admirals and the Lemons are more susceptible to bad things happening with poor antenna placement, even more so than the Spectrums. So, you know, I think if you do position the antennas correctly on the Admirals and the Lemons, I mean, they're basically the same thing. I think you can get good results with them. I've only had one like full hold, which is like a series of I think like 30 consecutive frame losses. I've only had one hold on an Admiral receiver in my FW190 Dynam model. And every time I've flown it since then, it's been fine. So, I mean, I fly that Admiral receiver in my Dynam FW190, my Dynam P-47, which I've got probably over 100 flights on that P-47 now. I love that plane. I've got the Admiral receiver in my F-22. And I have another one that I haven't put into anything yet. I don't know what I'm going to put it in. But this one is getting a Spectrum AR9350 that I've had for a long time. And this is finally a model worthy of it. You know, that I want to be able to do some of that crazy stuff. You know, I want to have flaperons. I want to have, you know, the independent elevons. I don't need to put the tail, you know, the nose wheel and the rudder on separate channels, but I'm gonna, because I've got 9 channels to work with and I only need 8 to do everything I want to do. So I know I get like all gross and nasty and I say lots of dirty words and, you know, other people's shows when I'm in the chat. But when it's my own show, I try not to do a lot of cursing. So, but it's funny. I still watch the chat. You guys can say whatever you want. Up elevator with the flaperons. Okay. Yeah, and I think I saw in the video that you did with Captain Mike years and years and years ago on this bird, you guys had flaperons in and were using quite a bit of up elevator mixed into them. So I will do that. Yeah, antenna placement is where it is, man. If you don't put the antennas in the right spot, your airplane's going to be all jacked up. And the chances of you losing signal with your antennas, you know, both going in the same direction or one going straight forward and one going straight back and them being axial, I mean, the chances of you having a signal loss are going to be, you know, huge when your antennas aren't placed right. And if you do put your antennas, place them correctly, you're going to have better luck. So, you know, just be careful. Be careful with what you do, fellas. It's all out of whack. That's right. It's all out of whack. Yeah, and I think with F-16s, I mean, these things just want a little bit of up elevator in them anyway. So I can certainly imagine with flaperons that you gotta add a little bit more, you know, especially as you get into, deeper flaperon deflection. And that's all stuff that I can play with now. You know, the control surfaces and everything are working now. So far, I have everything working in the model with the exception of the gear doors. I don't have the servo horns for the gear doors, and I don't have the gear door control rods. Initially, I was thinking like I could just 3D print some servo horns and do some Z-bins to get the control rods working right, but I mean everything else on here I've gone with genuine parts, and the only thing that I don't have so far is the EDF unit and the ventral fins. So I went to RC Castle, I found the ventral fins and the EDF unit, the high performance 90mm EDF, and I'm going to be putting the high performance 90mm 1900 kV in runner EDF in this guy. I've got the ventral fins on the way, and I need to get servo horns and the control rod kit, which is like $7 worth of parts from Motion RC, and they don't have the control rod kit in right now, which is a bummer. So we'll see what happens. If they get the control rod kits in, I've got a bunch of control rods. I can make control rods. I can make it work with parts that I have here. There's just something nice when you're doing something like this, you know, to get it all back stock. Like put it back the way the factory intended for it to be, because I think that, you know, it probably is just going to be better. Excuse me. So I've got an orange RX receiver, and that receiver, once upon a time, was in my Arrows MiG-29. When I took the Arrows MiG-29 down to the Boozer show, that was another, you know, kind of salvage project, you know, wrecked the plane, busted the nose into like 40 pieces, put it all back together, so now the nose is like, you know, 90% Gorilla Glue and 10% foam. But I got the nose all put back together, and I had every intention of just smacking that thing straight into the ground with a cheapo battery in it. And when it took off, and instead of using like my nice Spectrum receiver, I put in an Orange RX receiver, you know, like a $10 receiver. And I took off, and it flew awesome again, you know, just like I remembered it. And I was like, come on, man, I can't wreck this thing again. And I had one of the best landings that I've ever had with the plane coming back in while I was down in Florida. And I was like, would you look at this, man? This plane, it doesn't deserve to die. You know, after going face first into the dirt and then, you know, basically making a full recovery and getting it back into flying condition, I can't kill that plane. I didn't have the heart to put it in. So, yeah, it's running an Orange RX receiver. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe that Orange RX receiver used to belong to Rich Baker. So, you know, funny how the world turns around like that. Everything goes full circle. I want to say that I have an Orange RX receiver that used to belong to Rich Baker, that somehow got to Wesley and he gave it to me. So it is what it is. But it's not a gyro receiver or anything. Because I'll tell you, you know, and Guniak will tell you the same thing. You know, anybody that's flown the MiG-29, if you've flown it with a gyro, the gyro works great in the roll axis, but it works terrible for the pitch axis. Like, don't use it for the pitch axis at all. Turn the pitch gain down to like 5%, 10%, or just off, because it just isn't good. It runs like crap. When I rebuilt the MiG-29 after, you know, the accident that I had with it, where I basically broke the whole nose off, the new receiver that's in there, that Orange RX receiver, is just a it's just a standard 6-channel receiver. It flies awesome with no gyro. So, meh. EQ, yes. In the F-16, I am running the Spectrum 9350. It might be a T. Nope, it's just an AR 9350. That guy right there. I've got 2 satellite antennas that I can throw on there. I may or may not use both. I'll probably use one of them. And the 9350 just gives me the channels that I need to be able to run flaperons and elevons on this plane, where I can have roll and pitch control with the horizontal stabilizers on the back, and I can have flaps and ailerons on the wings and still get all of my gyro corrections on both sets of control surfaces as well as the rudder. So we'll see how it flies. It's kind of the same concept as Grippins, you know, just I'm basically setting up the tail wheels to act like the canards of a Grippin. The tail wheels, the horizontal stabs, the free flying stabs are going to function like the canards on a Grippin. Yeah, who needs an RX at all, man? I take these things and I chuck them into the wind. I don't need no damn receivers. You just kind of position all the control surfaces in a way that seems like it's going to make sense. And then you just take it and you throw it like a javelin, like an Olympian. Yeah, so I think the boozers are cutting back to like a once a month schedule instead of doing weekly shows. So Deuces, I think the 10 channel Admiral receivers do have a satellite port, but the stabilized receivers like the RX600 SP does not have a satellite port. So I'm just going to look back in the chat a little bit and see if I missed anything back there. Interesting. Interesting. That the Lemons have a satellite port on the stability receiver, but not the stability plus receivers. George, it doesn't count unless you use scissors and you cut all of the leads off at the same time. You have to cut them all off at the same time. And that is smart. George, that is smart second generation. All right. So, not sure how many people we have here. Yeah, that's right, George. And really, I mean, if you're a real man, when you're cutting those leads, hold on, let me see. Let me see if I got my balance lead cutters. Here we go. Here's my balance lead cutters. When you're cutting your balance leads with a set of cutters like this, I mean, when you go to clamp down on the wires, you need to be holding the metal part of the scissor blades. Don't be holding these plastic handles, you know, because that takes all the feeling away. You really don't get good leverage by using the handles. The way to get the best leverage is to hold it by the metal part of the blade right here like this, and then just squeeze. You know, that way you can get the best cutting power across those balance leads when you chop. You know, you really got to have skin to the metal. That way you know what you did. And you're going to get shocking results. Oh, that's funny. Excuse me. Woo! I had me some Firehouse subs tonight, fellas. Yes, guys. So, anybody that just heard me say that, all right? Number one, never, ever, ever cut any electrical wires off of a live battery with a pair of scissors. If you're going to do it, make sure you do it the right way and you cut the leads one at a time and you cut them at different lengths so the leads can't short together. If they're different lengths, they can't touch each other. All right? Always cut your leads one at a time off of a live battery. I don't care if you think that it's new or old or dead or whatever. You never, even if you think that battery's dead, you cut those leads one at a time and you cut them at different lengths, right? Don't be a big, ginormous ding-ding like some other shockingly successful YouTube channels and cut all the leads at the same time. That is dumb, dumb, dumb. What I was just talking about is a glaring example of what not to do. You never cut your balance leads off your battery. You never cut them off all at the same time. That is stupid. Stupid, stupid. Oh, Ken Sprouse. That reminds me. Alright, so I did get some other stuff in over the weekend. Not just this nice, sexy, cool F-16. In fact, I'm going to take this big, sexy F-16 and we're going to move it because I have other things I want to talk about. And this thing is just in the way. Oh no! I tried to touch the ceiling with it. All right. So now we can just be normal again. It's all out of whack. All right, guys. So again, don't cut your freaking balance leads off all at the same time. That is what big dummies do. And I feel like we have to say that on every single show now, because it seems like on every single show we find ourselves making fun of the fact that a shockingly successful YouTube channel did that exact same thing and then left it up for people to see. What are you doing? And yeah. Anyway. All right, so I'm gonna make one more tiny adjustment since we don't have that big old plane. Sorry, I like keep getting up, but it's just what I do. I need to get a remote for the camera. All right. So, other things that I got. JCB, I hope they did. I hope they did say something to them, but you don't know. I would assume that if Horizon had said something to them, that video would be gone. But, you know, whatever. I would have... They would certainly never be getting anything else from me if I was distributing items that ran off of electricity to them. No more from me. Nope. No remote yet. I don't know I don't know if I can get a remote for this camera. If I could, that'd be cool. You know, where I could just you know, zoom in and out. That'd be awesome. I would really like one. If anybody knows if you can get a wireless remote for the Sony AX53 camera, let me know. As far as I am aware, I don't think you can get one. Alright, so other stuff that I got on Saturday, and this is kind of putting the cart before the horse, but I believe that at some point in time, I have a Arrows Husky on its way. So, in celebration of the fact that I have an Arrows Husky, I bought some of the Dubro Big Fat, Nice and Soft. They're so soft. They're like big bagels. Big, soft, fluffy, fresh out of the oven bagels. These are awesome. These are the inflatable Dubro 4.5-inch tires that I got for the Husky. They're a little heavy. I don't care. Husky can pull it. No problem. Ken Sprouse, I just have to wait and see. It's going to be a bit of a surprise. See you, Jeff. Have a good night, man. So, these big Dubro tires, yes, they're heavy, but man, they're just big, squishy tires. And, you know, this to me is every bush plane should have big, squishy tires. I don't care what kind of airplane it is, you know, whether that is like the Bigfoot deserves big, squishy tires. Maybe not these, because the Bigfoot I don't think is big enough to be able to heft these big old things around. These are pretty heavy. In fact, I'm gonna go get my scale because I think it's worth a look. more stepping away from the camera. But I've got my fancy scale here. I'm gonna put that down here on the table. And because I'm in America, the first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to measure both of these tires together and tell you how much these weigh. Two of the 4.5-inch Dubro inflatable tires that I will be putting on the Husky weigh in at a total of 12 ounces. 337 grams of tire.
Playing from down to O2.
Uh-oh. People are sending me massages. Don't these people know? I even think there are people that are in here in the chat right now. Like it's Monday night, fools. So these guys weigh 169 grams each. So they are not light, right? If you're going to use these big Dubro inflatable tires, be aware of the fact that they are going to add some weight to the plane and that you're running a plane with enough lift to be able to get these big honking things off the ground. I'm pretty sure that the tires that come off of like the Husky and the Bigfoot and even the other big FMS made planes, you know, so like your Carbon Z Cub is going to have real hard tires. Your FMS bush planes, so your Cub, the 1700 PA-18 Cub is going to have big hard tires. I mean, these are great for those kinds of planes or for any other kind of bush plane out there. Just make sure that it's a big plane with a lot of lift that can get these, you know, 12 ounces of tires off the ground. But once you got them, I mean, these things are awesome. Low to no bounce, very squishy. They're awesome. All right, and the other thing that I got in the mail, I got this on Saturday. The Sony RMT835 will work with the AX53. Awesome, guys. So that'd be cool, you know, if we can do the live show and I can zoom in and out with an RMT835 remote. Yeah, Mike Keller, I've used that app, and that app doesn't work worth a damn. I've tried it. It is not very good. So I'd rather have like a separate remote unit if there's one available. So the other thing I got in the mail, in addition to the big fat Dubro tires, I also got the float kit for the Husky. So my plan with the Husky is to have that be mostly a float plane. I wanted a big, you know, either the PA-18 or the Husky or the Carbon Z Cub. I wanted a big float plane. So the Husky, for reasons that I will not mention right now, the Husky wins that battle. So I got the Dubro tires, and I've got the float kit. That stuff came in on Saturday. In addition to the float kit and the tires, I also got a new, as many of you guys remember, I crashed my PC-21, and then when I replaced everything, I even replaced the prop adapter and the motor, the fan blade, the prop blades have been kind of wobbly. They're doing like this number. So I also went ahead and bought a new motor because I think the motor shaft is maybe bent in the PC-21. So I bought a new motor for the PC-21, and the new motor comes with a new prop adapter. So now I've got two what should be straight prop adapters and a new prop nut. I've already checked, the new prop adapter is the same dimensions as the old one, so this will work on the PC-21, and the prop nut will work on the PC-21 as well. So I should be able to take out the old motor, take the X adapter, put it on this one, and be able to strap this guy in there, and hopefully I will have a straight propeller again, because I have run it a couple of times, and although it flies fine, I mean, you can tell that it's all out of whack. And it's not a balancing issue. I mean, the prop is balanced, but you know, if the shaft is bent, guys, she's not going to be happy. I mean, these things apply in a lot of different aspects of life. She likes a straight shaft. So we've got that as well. The PC-21 has taken flight several times, and I totally forgot about it. But I've also got I've got some bad retracts in that PC-21 that I need to either repair the retracts or get some new retracts for it, and those may have also been damaged in the crash. So you know, that's a possibility. Maybe they got damaged in the crash. Maybe they didn't. I don't know. But I mean, anytime you've got a plane with crash damage, I mean, after you crash a plane, anything that doesn't work right after the crash probably isn't working right because of the crash. You know what I'm saying? Like the retracts worked on every flight before that, and then they stopped working after I crashed it. So there's a really good chance that crashing the plane broke one of the retracts. I'm just throwing that out there. I think it's a fairly good guess. Yeah, see, Mafia, you bring up a good point, dude. You bring up a good point. Although I don't think they want 21 inches and 8 pounds every time. I'm just saying. I think that any dude that's rocking 8 pounds and 21 inches probably doesn't have a girlfriend. BD Tennessee. For a new jet, are you flying jets today? What kind of jets do you have right now? Or is this a first jet? Yeah, Mike Keller, that's an interesting that's interesting. We'll have to see if that holds true. Maybe crashing it a second time will get the retracts working again. Like humping a mayonnaise jar. So if you've got experience with 70, 80, and 90 millimeter jets, I mean, look, here's the deal, man. The 90 millimeter F-22 is such a well-behaved and great flying airplane that I think it's a shame for anybody that enjoys military jets to not have the Freewing F-22. It's one of those planes that you have to have one. If you don't have one, get that first and then get the F-18, because the F-22 should have been your first 90 millimeter EDF. It should be in everybody's arsenal. Anybody that likes military jets, I don't care if you like the way an F-22 looks or not, you're gonna love the way it flies. Give it a chance. Put that thing up in the air, and as soon as it takes off, man, I am telling you, there's not a lot of airplanes that I fly and I'm instantly comfortable with it. Like, as soon as I get it in the air, all the nerves go away and I'm like, holy cow, this thing is good. The F-22 is one of those planes. You know, I got it up in the air. You know, I put the gear up and I'm flying it around and I'm like, holy cow, man, this thing just feels great. It's so smooth flying. It's just an awesome, awesome jet. So for me, I mean, if you're asking me, I love the F-18. I love the F-22. I would get the F-22 first. And I think that it would be a staple of your hangar for a long, long time. That F-22 was just an amazingly well-behaved airplane. Yeah, and I think that I think the Viper is a good first EDF. Especially like if you're looking to make a transition from like 4S into 6S planes. The Viper was my first EDF. I mean, it's been a couple of years ago, whenever the Viper first came out. But yeah, I got it as my first EDF a couple of years back, and it flies great. That's an incredibly well-behaved airplane. Yeah, Hamilton. I don't know if Shay's in here tonight, but man, that was a heck of a crash. I mean, if you're gonna crash them, look, here's one thing that I will give Shay a lot of respect for. I've crashed airplanes. We all have. The best thing to do is to be 100% honest with yourself and say, what did I do wrong right there? Shay knew exactly what he did wrong, and he'll probably never do it again. Instead of doing something silly like saying, I couldn't control it, it was a brownout, whatever. He knew exactly what went wrong, and he learned from that experience. And for those of you guys that haven't seen it yet, you know, Shay was flying a 90mm Freewing Venom, which is an awesome airplane. Was actually flying it really well, you know, and went up, went inverted, brought it down, and was coming down, you know, in full power, and didn't have enough elevator authority to turn out of it. So it happens. On that particular airplane, it's more susceptible to losing elevator authority in a high-speed dive than others. And it happens. So what the hell is going on in here? What the hell is happening? Oh man. Come on. Some people just need to relax, man. Yeah, I know, Ray. I know. I get it. You know, from a 10,000-foot level, we all saw what you were putting.
Sorry, I had to let them out to pee pee.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so I mean that sucked, but you know, Shay knew what was up right away. He didn't try to blame the electronics. He knew what was going on.
What?
That screen is what I'm looking at.
Oh.
Amy's messing around. So the reason I didn't mention the F-18 is, I mean, you asked me which one I would rather have between the F-18 and the F-22, I think, right? So, I mean, the F-18 is awesome. I think that the sound, especially the Freewing F-18, not so much the E-Flight, the Freewing F-18 makes a very awesome sound while it's cutting through the air. And it's not even so much related to the sound of the EDF. You know, the EDF sounds good. I mean, they sound great. But this one has like this cracking sound as it's flying through the air that, you know, the first time I heard it fly, the only thing that I could think, you know, as I'm flying mine, every time I fly it by myself, I think like that thing sounds like that cracking sound effect when they have TIE fighters flying by in Star Wars. Like, that's awesome. So look, the F-18 is an awesome airplane. It really is. I like the Freewing F-18 a lot. In my opinion, it is the better airplane between the E-Flight and the Freewing. I think the Freewing is the better airplane. Do I think that you would enjoy the F-18 more than the F-22? You'd be the first person, I think, to say that. I don't know anybody that has an F-22 that would say they like the F-18 better than the F-22. The F-22 is just a very special airplane. You know, there's a few airplanes out there that I give the nod of, that's a special airplane to. You know, the Avanti, my Freewing Avanti, 80 millimeter, that gets special airplane category. The Freewing F22, I think, gets special airplane category. My E-Flight Commander MPD, I think that falls into what I consider special airplane category. I mean, those are some of my favorite flying airplanes. They're the airplanes that I fly the most. They're the ones that I take to the field the most. And I love them, you know. The F-22 is badass. The Avanti is badass. The E-Flight Commander, to me, is badass. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but whatever. I mean, it's my show. You're asking me, right? So, Mary Irwin, my opinion of the Su-30. I'm not a big fan. Ken Sprouse, that's awesome. I'm glad that you got one while it was still available, and I hope you never ever wreck it, because it's an awesome airplane. No, Dana. Is Victor okay? What's up? Oh, Victor. I really hope y'all get better, man. Y'all need to start feeling better soon. Or else I'm going to start feeling bad for you, and I really don't need that in my life. Like, the last thing I need in my life is to be like, I hope Victor Stamulus is okay. That ass. But yeah, man, I hope y'all are feeling better soon, man. For reals. For reals. Spencer Keith, what up? Spencer, I got present for you. Little present. So, Guniak, I will give you a little brief rundown of what I am doing with the F-16. So, I got a pile of parts when I was down in Florida for the Mary Boozer fly-in. Wesley gave me a big old bag of parts and some control services for a Freewing 90mm F-16. He gave me the wings, the horizontal stabs, and a vertical stab, and a big bag of parts, and said, here, you can have this stuff. It used to be a Freewing 90mm F-16, and you would need to buy a lot of parts for it to make it work again, but here you go. Well, I did some hunting and some searching, and the parts that I had were far more than half of the value of the airplane. So for about $200, maybe $250, it was probably closer to like $250, $240-ish. I was able to get all the parts I needed to put the plane back together 100% and make it flyable again. Initially, what's up, Shane? We were just talking about you, man. Guess why? So initially, Ray, my plan was to put the 90mm FMS Outrunner. It's the 1900 kV Outrunner, but the shape of this EDF unit, it does not fit that F-16 very well. And I would have had to make a lot of modifications to the door that comes off of the bottom to get this EDF to fit in there. and to be able to slide it back in, I'd have had to like cut blocks out and glue them to the door, and it would have been just more than I'm willing to mess with for, what could questionably be not as good of a power system as, and doing a lot of work to the phone to get maybe not as good a power as I would get if I just bit the bullet and bought the high performance Freewing EDF unit. So that's what I did. I bought the, instead of trying to mess with modifying the phone to get the FMS Platinum Outrunner EDF that I've got here in there, I went ahead and bought the Freewing High Performance 90mm EDF unit. I had to get it from RC Castle, so it's going to take a couple of weeks to get here. So I've got the high performance 1900mm end runner. Just stop it. And I'm going to use the Freewing High Performance 90mm end runner on the F16. And my initial intent is to take it out because to me, it's a $250 airplane, not a $550 airplane, right? So I'm going to take it out and I'm going to treat it like a $250 airplane. Meaning that I'm going to fly the piss out of it because I'm just not as invested into it as I would be if I'd have bought it new. You know what I'm saying? So I want to go and I want to learn this plane, learn its characteristics, fly the crap out of it, get it flying great. And once I get it flying awesome, my intent is, and some other people that were here earlier have already seen this, and it's awesome, so you should go look for it. I'm going to paint it in the 2020/2021. I'm going to be doing the Viper demo team, the U.S. Air Force Viper demo team paint scheme. If you haven't seen it, you got to look it up because it's freaking badass. So Hamilton Tanger, you weren't here earlier. But I have a 90mm Freewing F16 that we had on the table at the beginning of the show. So when we're done, you can go back and look at the beginning of the show, and you'll see it. It's awesome. And like I was saying, it was handed to me as basically a bag of parts and a couple of pieces of foam. Like here's the what used to be a 90mm Freewing F16, and you're welcome to this bag of parts and pieces if you want to take the challenge of making it fly again. And I was like, dude, I can definitely make this fly again. So George Watts, thank you very much, man. I really appreciate that. Wait, who just said that? What? Liam O'Neill? The answer is nothing. You missed absolutely nothing. Yeah, Guniak, I think with the high performance 1900mm end runner from Freewing, that thing is going to fly pretty dang well. What I need to find out from you, and I think I talked to Nate about this too, because I know that you guys have made this modification to other planes, not just buy them as high performance. When I get that thing in and I put it in here, do I need to, I know I need to do something with the timing. Do I need to put the timing to low so I get a softer startup with the end runner? Is that what I need to do? Oh, thanks, George. There you go. Low timing. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking I needed to do low timing so I can get a softer startup instead of it just jerking on. That's completely the opposite of jerking off, fellas. If you didn't know, jerking on is what you don't want to happen with an in-runner. That's funny. Yeah. So low timing, and I'm not going to lose any. I'm not going to lose any high-end RPM by setting it to low timing, right? I wouldn't think. That's why I wish that the technology, like censored in-runner motors, have been a thing in the surface world for a long time, and they don't need to mess with timing at all because the ESC knows exactly where the rotor of the motor sits at any given time, or the stator of that motor sits at any given time, because it's got, little timing sensors through it, so it can see what the position is at any time. You don't need to set the timing. It always knows the best amount of power to apply to get the thing running. So it'd be nice to do that in airplanes, but I also get why it's kind of unnecessary, because we only need it when you first take off. See you, Ricky. Have a good night, man. So we're getting down to the last 10 minutes. So the first thing that I want to point out, right? And look, I don't sit here and beg for money, right? I don't beg for your clicks. I don't beg for super chats. I have suggestions here and there. If you want to send me a super chat, awesome. I love them. And I love the guys that support the channel. And I thank you guys so much who do support the channel, but it's absolutely not a requirement to be able to come in here, have fun with us, get in on the Zooms, get in on the fly-ins. We don't have any requirement for any of that stuff. So if you're here for the fun, awesome. If you want to support the channel, awesome. But what I did want to say was, last week I had announced that I had started up the rcairmarshal.com website. If you guys haven't been there yet, it's just what do you call it? I have curated all of my affiliate links into a single web page, not unlike Pilot Ryan. I mean, it was a brilliant thing that he did, about a year ago. And it took, to be honest with you, what the hell took us so long? What were we doing? Like, oh, Pilot Ryan's got a website. I'm just going to put one link on each video that I do, and maybe people will click it, maybe they won't. Man, it's so freaking brilliant to just tell people, hey, man, if you're looking for something from Horizon, if you're looking for something from Big Go, if you're looking for something from Amazon, from Banggood, check out rcairmarshal.com. Click the link on the main page. It'll take you to the site where you want to buy stuff, and it helps out the channel. Doesn't cost you anything extra. Helps us out a little bit, and we appreciate your support. So that's all I'll say. But what I wanted to point out, though, is how incredibly thankful I am for the people that do use it. And the reason that I bring it up is not to say, like, I need you guys to click my links, right? I'm okay. Like, we're making enough money to pay the bills. I've got a job now. It's paying the bills, and we're happy. But what I did want to point out is, since last week, and I'm not trying to brag, but what I want to say is just a huge thank you for the people that have used that site to get to different affiliate links since the announcement last week that rcairmarshal.com exists. I've had over $2,500 in affiliate sales in that past week across all of my affiliate platforms, which is awesome. You know, I mean, usually I don't see that kind of traffic over a quarter. You know, and to see that amount of traffic in a week just is amazing. And you know, you guys are the ones that I want to thank for that. So, so that's awesome. That's awesome. And that kind of numbers, you know, it's not life changing, but it's a huge difference maker. That is going to be a huge help for the channel. I mean, it's not a ton of money, but it's enough money to make a difference for what we do here, if that makes sense. You know, that's going to allow us to bring new content. It's going to allow us to get new planes to do bigger, better things on the show. So, you know, for you guys that showed your awesome, just overwhelming support over the past couple of weeks. You know, you guys are going to get some great stuff. Whatever people bought, $2,500 worth of product over the last couple of weeks, clicking through those links. That's amazing. And just know that your support is greatly appreciated. Every single person that clicked on those links. And we're not talking like huge transaction, guys. These are tons of small transactions. I mean, a bunch of them are for like 20 bucks, 30 bucks, 40 bucks. I mean, there's a couple of big ones, but a lot of them are like small things, and it just all adds up, right? So, you know, don't think that it only helps when you're going to be buying like a new airplane. I mean, even if you're going to buy like a roll of Velcro, just think about us. And not just me, right? I mean, there's a lot of people out there with affiliate links, you know, people that I support, people like Ryan, the Mary Boozers, GB Linden. You know what we got you to, you know, what we got you to jump over the edge for. If I get you to jump over the edge on a product, you know, just do us a favor and click that link when you buy that item. You know, when the NX series comes out, which I hope to have that next week. Hopefully by the next show, that'd be awesome. If I have, how much was from your Adam and Steve sex shop? Dude, I don't know. I really don't, I can't see individual numbers from Adam and Steve. You know, but Amazon gives me a lot of good info, but not Adam and Steve. Like all they tell me is like, hey, good job. Oh yeah. Yeah, your show ain't even started yet and you got a thumbs down. So for all of you guys that watch our shows, you know, when the NX series comes out, and you know, if you guys are watching one of my videos and you want to buy yourself an NX10, hey man, do me a favor and use my link when you get it. If I'm the one that pushed you over the edge and said like, hey man, I was watching Dave's video and now I'm going to buy an NX10. Awesome. If you're watching one of Ryan's videos and you're watching his video on the FW190 and you go to buy that FW190, by all means, use Ryan's links. If you're buying a Night Vapor as you're watching GB Linden's show, man, click GB Linden's link. Help us all out, you know. Don't pick favorites. Use us all. And if you're going to buy a fire booty, there's only one place to get a fire booty. And that's our man, Ray. Which, speaking of Ray, he's going to be on here in about 15 minutes, which means that I am going to go and take about a 15-minute break and see you guys all in Gooniac Fire Booty's show here in about 15 minutes. By the way, Reed Smith, I do appreciate it. And also, guys, so during the fly-ins, you know, we do these fly-ins, which, by the way, if you're looking forward to a fly-in like next week or the week after, we are not going, Jet Tech Don, thank you very much. We are not going to be doing a fly-in in February. We may not be doing one in March. If we do, it's going to be free flight only. There will be no competition. And the reason why is I am working to round up some sponsors to put on a very large virtual event. And it's going to be, I know that we had talked at one point about it being like an IMAX style deal. I don't want to do that. I think that scares too many people. I want tons and tons of people to be able to participate in this. So what we're going to do is a scaled Top Gun style flight where you take off, you do 3 circuits, you do 2 maneuvers of your choice, and then you do a scale landing. All of it will be graded. You know, your takeoff, your flight, your 2 maneuvers, and your landing will all be graded, and we will pick a winner. What I hope is that we get a ton of participants, and all of the proceeds will be going to a winner's circle, and the winner will get a whole lot of money, depending on how many people we get. So what I'd like to do is make this where there is a very small entry fee. We're talking like $5, and all of the proceeds will go towards the pot, and any prizes that we get from vendors, any gift certificates, cash, anything that we get is going to go to a pot, and the winner will get 50% of the pot. The second place will get 30% of the pot, and third place will get 20%. I will take nothing. So we're going to look for small stuff, but I want there to be small entry fees with big payouts. So hopefully, you know, we can have a payout of like 200. You know, I'd like to see if we can get 100 people. And the other thing that I'll say is we haven't gotten any yet, and I'm just going to say this now, that any PayPal donations for the channel, period, between now and whenever this happens, so we're talking several months of PayPal donations, all of the PayPal donations will also go into the pot that will be split across the 3 winners. So you don't need to do that today. It's just something to think about. We're going to have a big contest. I want lots and lots of participants. I'd love to see 100 participants, and we're going to have a large, you know, all of the flights will happen off air, but the competition will be put together in a way that it looks like a live broadcast, and we're going to do it over a 2-hour time frame. We may do it on a Sunday since the boozers aren't going live every Sunday, and it may be quite a long show. And the bad part for you is I already know the winner at the beginning of the show, but I want to be able to share that experience with everybody and have like a big, long thing, because the people that are participating, you guys don't know who won yet. I do. So I want there to be a big turnout. I want it to be a big show. I want it to be set up like award style, where we're going to have best crashes and all kinds of other stuff. And we're going to have, I just want it to be a cool virtual event that we can all do. And I want it to be something that we can annualize, where, you know, this is the first one that we've ever done, but I want this to be something that we can do during the winter months where we can't all get out and fly, where we can have a big virtual event like a Scale Masters, like a Jonal, like a Top Gun style event in the middle of the winter when all of us are freezing cold and we don't want to go fly our real airplanes. We can have something like this and we can all, you know, have a lot of fun and earn a little money. So for the next couple of months, no event, and I think towards the end of March is when I want to do all this. But anyway, you guys all have a great night. It is 10:04. I'm going to get out of here. Thank you guys all so much for coming and hanging out with us. And we will see you next Monday for show number 58. In the meantime, in 10 minutes, be sure to head over to Gooniac Show. Thank you guys all again for hanging out with us. And we will see you all next week. Have a good night, guys.